Hello there, this is Matt. Today I'm going to be doing a quick, very basic terrain tutorial, just showing you how to get some basic terrains and landscapes set up in UDK. So the first thing we're going to want to do is do a new map. Just choose any type of lighting you want to, and then we're in here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete these. And to create your terrain, you come up here to Tools, you click New Terrain. It'll ask you the starting location for it, and just how big you want it to be. You can change all this later, so I'm going to just choose 32 by 32 right now. And our terrain is created, so you can select it. I'm just going to bring it down here, center it a little bit, and here. That's probably good enough for now. Yeah, so there's our terrain. Then we come over here to the terrain editing mode to edit the terrain, and you'll see right now it's just a height map. I'll go over a couple of settings in here. These are just different tools that you can use: smooth, average. So pretty explanatory there. You can come in here to the properties. If you want to increase the terrain size, you can increase it right here. You can see in the background it's kind of increasing it, so you can decrease it back down to 32. There's all these different settings in here. You can go in there and mess around with them. I haven't really explored them too much yet. But yeah, let's get into editing some of the terrain here. So right now I just have the paint tool selected, and everything over here, the settings are set to 0, so I'm going to increase the strength up to maybe say 70, 75. Increase the radius, and now you can see that there's a radius out here. 0, there's no radius. Now there's a radius. That's how big the tool is going to be. The fall off is the radius around the radius, so there's some fall off here. So now to actually start painting the terrain, you hold down left control, and then you just left click, and you'll see it starts to rise the terrain. If you want it to rise slower, you just lower the strength over here, or rise a bit slower. Something useful for when you're editing the terrain is to toggle the wireframe on and off. So you can see the wireframe here, and it makes it a little easier to see as you're editing it. You can also increase the tessellation, which just makes it more detailed, so it'll be more rounded. Maybe increase that 2 or 3 times or whatnot. So yeah, and then you just come in here and you start creating the terrain. So now we're going to want a texture on our terrain, of course. So a way to do that is to open up the content browser, grab whichever texture or material you want to use. So for this I'll be using the grass material. I'd edited that, I guess. But then once you have it selected, come back over here, right click, and choose New Terrain Setup Layer from Material Auto Create. And you'll notice immediately it applies this texture to our terrain. So that's pretty cool. So now I'll increase that a little bit, lower the sum. You can come in here and create terrains. They're pretty cool. It's a pretty fun little tool to use. To make it go back down, you hold down left control and then you right click. So right click lowers, left click raises. You can come in here to other tools such as smooth, just left control and left click to smooth it out. You can kind of see it smoothing here. If I get a little closer. To unsmooth, it's just right click. So that's the way with any of the tools. Hold down left control to activate the tool, left click will raise or add, and the right click will lower or take away. So there's average tools and all sorts of neat little stuff. And so to add another texture, come back over here, or material, come back over here, select the material you want, click right click, do New Terrain Setup Layer from Material Auto Create, and we now have a new texture down here. So you can just select that if you want to edit, whichever ones you want to edit over here. But now that a texture is selected, when I left click, go to paint mode, when I left click to draw, you'll see that it starts to draw that texture. So you can do this with any texture. We'll lower the strength a little bit, lower the radius, get rid of fall off a bit more. So then you can come in here and you can draw paths around, or whatever you want to do. Draw some paths. And you'll notice that there's this fall off here again. So you can, have it kind of blends in with the different textures there. Let's decrease these a lot. So okay, but yeah, so then you can come in and create little paths. Say you want a lighter path branching off of this one over here. You can make it a little smaller. Come in here and kind of have this light path kind of branch off over here to do something. So again, you're painting with holding down left control and left clicking to on paint. It's the same thing. You hold down left control and you right click. You'll notice that it on paints that texture there. So that's kind of neat. It's like a faded path. You definitely want to play around with that and make it look better, but you can keep the wireframe back off if you want to and do all this. You can come back up here, and now we're back on the height map. So when you're on the height map, these terrain tools will actually edit the terrain, and when you're on a texture, they'll paint the texture. They should paint the texture. I'm not sure. Okay, well, let's see. We got something going on here. But yeah, when you come down here and you select this, it paints. Come here. I think that okay, so this grass texture is the default texture, so you can't paint the default texture. You can only paint the textures underneath here, and you just erase the texture to get back to the default. So that's how that works. So you can select either the default texture or the height map to be able to edit the terrain and create hills and all kinds of cool stuff. So we can test out in game. All the terrain automatically has collision, so you can like come over here and run up hills and test it out. So yeah, that's the very basic terrain tutorial here. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope to make more tutorials sometime in the future. And that's all.